So I'm lying in the pre-op room for surgery. My first surgery since I was born at age 25. I was really, really nervous because I don't remember having surgery, and I was worried about waking up during it. And the reason I was in the hospital was because I was going to have an exploratory surgery on my heart because I'd been having these really weird arrhythmias, and I basically almost died in my sleep. So the anesthesia nurse comes in, and she's like, "Don't worry, I always do a really great job. No one ever remembers my name." I was like, "Well, what's your name?" She's like, "Marianne." I'm like, "Okay." So I really want to believe her really badly. And I'm like, I just can't wait to feel woozy, like everything was a dream, and then wake up, right? That's how you hope all surgery goes. So I start to feel woozy, and I'm like, all right. And then they roll me into the room, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pass out, right? And then I feel them put straps on me, and they fold up the sides of the gurney. I see them put the x-ray machine above me, see the doctors come in, the technicians tapping at the keyboard. I'm like, this is when I'm going to fall asleep, right? Then they start administering local anesthesia to my leg, where they're going to put an instrument up my thigh and through my aorta to my heart. And I start feeling this deep pressure in my right thigh as they're shoving this thing into me. And I start weeping and weeping and weeping. And they're like, "Oh, don't worry, it's just the anesthesia." And it's not general anesthesia, by the way. They wanted to gauge my reaction, but I'm not supposed to remember anything. So I'm crying and crying, and I'm like, this is when I'm going to pass out, right? I'm going to pass out any moment. And I don't. And then somewhere along there, I start to feel like I have a hummingbird in my chest. Later, I find out that my heart had gotten up to 320 beats per minute. I was having a heart attack, which they had induced with their little electrical stimulation. And the doctor says, "Does this feel funny, Skylar?" And I was like, "Just as funny as everything else has felt this past hour." And you'd think at that point they might realize that their patient's like a little too lucid. Right? Like, why would they be giving a sarcastic remark if they're like kind of out? I don't understand that. So then all of a sudden, the thing above me comes slamming down, and I black out. And actually, that's what I thought had happened. What had happened, I'd been defibrillated, which feels like a horse kicking in the chest. And then I wake up, and I'm like, oh, the surgery must be over. But no, it's continuing on. The horror show is continuing on. And all I can think, I'm not thinking like, oh, I want to die. I'm like, those fuckers lied to me. Those assholes. So it goes on for what seems like forever, and I feel kind of drunk. I don't know if anyone has had surgery and like you feel kind of woozy and drunk, and your memory's like, it's not quite a brownout, it's like on the edge of it. And so finally they're like, can hear that they're done with whatever they're doing to me, and I like turn my head around kind of like The Exorcist, and I go, "Thanks a lot, Marianne." And she gasps. I remember that. She was just like, oh my God. Then they sit me up. They sit me upright. I remember sitting right upright. And the fellow that's accompanying the doctor, they have like no social skills, by the way, I realized at this hospital. And he literally says to me, he's like, "You don't remember anything, right?" And I sound drunk and I feel drunk. And I go, "Yes, I do." And I was like, you asked me that question. I wanted to tell you to fuck off. But instead I was very polite and told you that it felt funny. And I was like, "And you?" And I went around the room and I got the technician. I'm like, "Your keyboard tapping is the most annoying thing in the world." It's like, "I just wish you'd stop the whole time." And they're all just staring at me horrified. And so, and later on the doctors say, "Yeah, you probably have a little bit of undiagnosed PTSD from that." I was like, "No shit." So the results of this surgery were that I was going to have a second surgery where they were going to insert an ICD or pacemaker, which doesn't really do much. It's just kind of my backup. And I was really nervous about if I'd wake up during that surgery, right? So the anesthesia nurse comes in before that, and my mom goes, "Oh my God. It was the nurse that took care of me the day I was born. And she'd gone back to school and become an anesthesia nurse." My mom was like, "This is your guardian angel." And I was like, "I hope you're right." So I got rolled into that second operating room, and I fell asleep, and I woke up in the recovery room, not remembering a single thing. Thank you.